Hey guys, Sunstreaker Wozza here. Welcome back for another video in the series of best bots for 2022 with, yes, again, my good friend Tex.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Woz.
Yes, again, we're back again. We've done what must be like 8, 9 of these videos now. We've done the bots, they're done and dusted, and now we're on to combiners. A natural progression when we've gone from the bots. And now we're going to rate all the combiners in the game. So, a lot of these combiners have been around since the game's conception, and we're going to see how they sort of rate. But as always, guys, if you don't agree with our selections and how we rate them, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you use them. Maybe use them different than we know and how we use them ourselves. Let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, if you like my content, hit the like button. And if you like it as well, and you really want to show your appreciation, subscribe to the channel to never miss another video. So, straight in, the first ones that came, the first combiners in the game, Superion and Devastator. So, godly good, situational, not great as always. What do we think?
Oh, I'm. It's somewhere near the bottom because it's not even remotely good in my experience. Even through a buff that he got not too recently, I want to say last year
Mm,
sometime.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. I see a few of these that the original combiners now that they need to be pretty beefy in order to be competitive at our higher level that they don't stack up. They don't leave the launch pad unless they want to die very fast. So yeah, for me, this situational at best. I think for a few of these 4-star combiners, you've got to have either a super spread out base or a clumped front loader base where you can sit the combiner on the back of the pad, not triggering ops or a combiner, and you can still use all of their abilities in time because once you enter that layout, just the health, it's just melting and you won't even get a second ability off at times, which is pretty crazy. Um, Unfortunately, that's just where the hardness of the game is currently versus when these combiners came out. So it's not really a surprise. It's just how it is, right? I mean, we've gone through the bots of when they first came out. Some were great, um, and they've had to get reworked. But I think it's either you want to bring out new combiners that are better than the existing ones, but I know that from a community standpoint, combiners, they can be pretty hard to get and very frustrating from a player, even if you're chasing bundles and if it's especially if it's a 6 bot combiner, they're the annoying ones. So unfortunately, still Superion just doesn't reach the heights that it needs to be for us, and I I'd put it situational at best.
So next up we have Artemis, Maximus, and Bruticus. So HQ 16 days. These guys were in Outpost quite a bit with their long stun. But have they tested time of HQ 17? What do you think?
I think it's not overall a great aspect this combiner. I think it's situational at best, but I wish we could get more from these type of combiners that are very limited capacity. Yes, decent health can be an outpost option because of that health and his one stun missile ability. If it catches your team, sort of just you know as a group, and you're not having a combiner to interrupt it, you know, half your team's out for a pretty long duration. So but that's where it kind of stops. You wouldn't be using this guy on attack. Just doesn't have the health to stand up in that aspect. The other two abilities aren't great. Um, the melee damage is not great. It's just I don't know. Like you kind of expect a combiner that has Optimus Prime a part of it to be something pretty special, but it's not, and it's a bit of disappointment. But I, I don't even know. Like even if a 5-star version come around, like how do you upgrade it? Like you can go down many avenues of how you want to fix these kind of guys, but right now, no, it's not getting out of the situational category. And I just want to, yeah, I'd love to see more. The combiners are so rare; they're not like bots that you can, you got 8 to pick from. You're only bringing one combiner to the table. Um, Chasing bots to make a combiner, there's just so many aspects that can be a pain trying to get a combiner, let alone it be useful, right? So I just nothing, nothing above situation. Unfortunately, I got nothing. I really don't. It's hard, right? It's hard to push these guys to sell them when there's nothing really to sell. That's the sad part.
Yeah, for me, these guys are high end content, so these should be successful at all levels, basically. Every single one should be at least good. But I think he lacks a bit of punch. Like I said, he's good on defense, good stun, I like that. The 3-star abilities don't really hold their own. But that 4-star ability on attack, yeah, it's great for stun, but by the time then he dies, that stun probably halved. And it's not done much damage to the base. We want combiners to be able to take out a section of the base strategically that your bots might not be able to get to, or something like that. And I just think it lacks a bit of that punch basically on attack. So situation probably because of defense. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'd put him in not great, but he's not bad on defense. We do see it occasionally. So yeah. And then next up we have Victorion and Menasor. So obviously Victorion and Menasor used a lot for me in HQ 16 days. That reflectability was a godsend, and you'd think that with HQ 17, with the more damage, you'd think she'd reflect more back and so be more successful HQ 17. What do you think?
The concept of incoming more damage and reflecting more damage, it makes sense, but she'll probably die before she gets the ability to start that ability. So you've got to obviously rush into that layout, and before you start doing your twirl, you're probably dead. And this is just more of an aspect of where Vicky was, where the game was when she was created, the health point. Just very low, just paper thin, probably of all the combiners. I feel that the health is not there to um, allow her to use all of her abilities. And I wonder if it's not a misstepped, but like as the game progresses higher, bots, we can open the bot levels, right? So their health keeps in check. But we don't have that check mark for combiners. They're already capped at level 20 and they are what they are. Um, yes, we have Titan perks to help combiners, but they're the same perks that affect the bots, right? But overall, bots have the ability to go up higher and combiners don't. So as the game's really progressing higher and the damage is, having a lot more destruction on combiners, these older type of combiners who are not designed with either a 5-star or with high health, they're really going to be set far behind, and it's a bit of a shame because, as I said, that this is the content that people love, combiners, just especially being a 6-piece one. It's nothing more painful than trying to chase one missing bot and then you find out this combiner just can't handle what you'd hope it would be. And I think massive out of all the probably combiners that need a health bump is Vicky. And it's just so that allow this combiner to do their abilities in a half decent fashion. Like this combiner isn't taking out a quarter of the base. The attacks just can't do that. There's too much self healing. There's too much incoming damage. I wouldn't even recommend Vicky on attack. It's useless on defense. So yeah, if I don't know, there's only certain bots that are probably decent part of that combiner as individuals as well. So it's like, I wouldn't even recommend chasing bundles to get this combiner. That's how bad it is.
I think that's a good point as well, really. They haven't really touched upon is the fact that the bots that make up the combiners, most of the bots, and most of the combiners have bots that are good within them. But Victorium, like a Dust
Ooh.
Up, Jump Stream, Skyburst is okay. It lacks a lot of decent bots in there as well. It's a good point. And yeah, so do we agree not great then for Victorian and Menasor?
Yeah, I reckon even not great. There's just there's no situation where I would think is even useful for this combiner, which is pretty sad.
Uh, and then we've got Volcanicus and Predaking. So heavy user, like you said. I was back in the day.
Yeah.
A lot of damage in a recent war. Recently, someone using him to a good extent, using his 4-star ability, then his 3-star ability, and then using the Titan on the MDS and shields to take a good section out. So it can be useful in top level wars, but how useful?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it was a bit of a challenge posted to testers to you know, using 4-star bots or 4-star combiners. And I was like, well, look, I know I'm not realistically going to use my Volk, who was my very first combiner maxed, but you know, given I had a good understanding of what he's capable of at max level many years ago, um, I had to sort of understand that the bases he's not going to take out an omega section, so still can't enter a layout deeply like most fours because of health reasons. But if you keep him to the pad, you can use all three abilities in a section that is more closer to the pad, and it do like take out a big section. So um, we were testing the war effects, and yeah, I scraped through. Not saying it was comfortable, but it got the job done. It just how I used him previously to how I use him now is so much different. I used to 4-star rain, you know, a section far away, then go for the jump and the fire sword around, Um, could then cycle through another jump and cycle in the sword. I can't do that. There's just not enough health for him to do that. So as long as you're able to comfortably get all three abilities off in the same section, even in HQ 17.5, you're clearing a lot. I'm not saying you're going to do a MDS under shield protection, that kind of super damage, but don't be aiming for that because that's a bit unrealistic. Try and either clear yourself a path to either uh, rush around or because you can clear so many walls. We used to have an ability like a Volk rush. So you would use the 4-star, his sword would just melt walls, open up this rush path, and you didn't have to take on half the base, which was good. You can still do that strategy, which is pretty cool. Um, just can't rush into a base with his abilities is all. Um, yeah, so for me, still situational because you're not really taking him into high ranking, but you could if you didn't have Omega 5-star, I guess, but just not the best option that's out there still.
Yeah, I still like the range of his 4-star ability. He's got really good range on it. I think that's a bit of added value to him to make him sort of situational. Can be used in, you know, can be used in some good aspects. That range of his 4-star ability. Just again, it hasn't scaled well. Lacks a bit of punch. So yeah, I
The tr-
agree.
the trouble is all these self repair cores or the war effects of self healing. You know, it's great with the 4-star range, but it's countered very fast with
Yeah,
um, these healing aspects. And I mean, you, people find it with a mega hitting, an MDS that's shielded, has a self repair. 1 to 3 seconds later, that thing's fully healed. And you're like, I used the whole ability on that. And it's like, and I did nothing. Well, I think some people are targeting the wrong things. I mean, if the, if an MDS is a wall next to a shield generator, with an auto cannon or a beam laser, target the weaker attachment and then, let your team handle the MDS through melee, through all that sort of stuff, because just make the most out of your combiner, understand its limitations. Otherwise, when you start overreaching and hopefully hoping to kill, half a base with a 4-star combiner, they're just unrealistic expectations, and you're only going to lead yourself to failing, getting disappointed. So be more controlled. Uh, Place the combiner at the back of the pad, out of range of stuff. Use all of the abilities in a smaller area, and you'll get great effect from 4-star combiners still. But that's why they're situational. You just can't be entering a layout because their health just can't cope.
Yep, I agree. And we move on to Defensor and Abominus. So this, I use this guy a lot
Hmm.
in my cleanup crew sort of days. To give him that extra shield. That shield was a godsend in HU16. Absolutely love this guy, and was my first combine. I think to level 19. As we know, I don't really level bots to max. I like to leave them just a bit short and save some resources for a rainy day. This is my first combiner I took to 19. I think Volcanicus 16. But really love this guy. Uh, what do you think of this guy now, though, in the current meta? With the shield, do you think hopefully that'd scale with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think any combiner that gives you a post combiner death effect, um, for your attacking troops is amazing. I think it's what's needed. Um, it's that extra flexibility that it gives, and comparing, say, Victorian, who can't enter a layout, can't be good on defense, can't be good on attack, and can't give you nothing post death, versus Defensor, who can. He's probably one of the only 4-star, I feel, that needs to and can rush into a layout, hit that 4-star, absorb all of that damage, send it back. Um, as long as you're getting those two abilities in, he's a pretty high health um, combiner up there with Op Max. Um, because that high health, he can actually rush into the layout, use that 4-star, get it off, and then you can use his third ability that's left, the jump gun, and then post that, you're getting the shield on your troops. So overall, that's a pretty good aspect of what you want from a combiner, giving you some clearance, and then giving you some help after he's gone. So there's not much more you can ask for really from a combiner. And yeah, I think Omega is a little bit more of an upgraded version of sorts of that kind of concept of post death.
Yeah, I think Defensor just needs a bit more attack to him. Very good defensively, like I said, giving that shield to your bots. I know it's Defensor sort of fits in with the lore and things like that. But yeah, I would rate him as good. I still think though he lacks a bit of punch. I still think so. I wouldn't say it's like a big upgrade for Volcanicus in terms of good. It's it's okay. It's pretty good. If we had two sections, it'd be a lower end of good, if that makes sense. But yeah, still rate him. Doesn't worry me on defense though when I see him in an outpost, and again doesn't clear that sort of section. But it's that after death, like you said, that's the big selling point, and was a great idea.
I do like the fact that, well, like on a defense aspect, he's shielding
Yeah,
defenses as well, and they can really catch a lot of people out. Because it's a really good deterrent of how much damage those shields can reflect or whatnot. Whether it's um sometimes people let, say, Silverbolt, say you hit Silverbolt, and all of a sudden that shield just kicks in, and you're like, it's gone from one shot to it will not kill it.
cool. Next up we have Computron and LioKaiser. So when this guy came out, I think in playtests we were like, we can't. Surely this guy's not gonna come out like this. Surely this is ridiculous. This is crazy. This is OP to hell. And I think at the time we'll probably put this guy in the godly section. And then the anti-hack cores come out. So has he gone down situational now because of that? Is it simple case of take the bot out like we always do? Does that still make him godly or just good? What do you think?
I think it's exactly the sort of synopsis that we go down. That it went from godly, the anti-hack brought him down to good, and I think that's where he stayed. I mean, it's pretty hard to come across a high top war base that doesn't have this guy on defense,
True.
and I think that's not a coincidence. I think the hack from a defense point of view is just if it catches you, you're not in good shape. I know that people try to early trip through through Rook or RC's hologram. Um, if it takes the hack, great. But if not, you're wasting abilities. Next minute, your team's hacked, or you know, sometimes the position of Computron in the layout is so crucial to really being effective that the attackers are dropping their combiner early because they're taking too much heat. Next minute, they forgot about the timing aspect of the hack, and their combiner gets hacked. And that's just something we never saw before Computron came into the landscape, that your combiner can get hacked. That's like an unheard of concept. You know, how many people did we see in the chats being like, I don't know what happened to my combiner. He just stood there. It just died. I'm like, did you not see that big purple ring just like materializing? Oh, what is that? It took a very long time for people to adapt, which was crazy. But there's still people that just can't adapt to it, especially if the people who don't want to have a combiner on standby. Um, yeah, it's beyond good for me how good Computron still is, even though he is only a 4-star. But as you said, from an attacking point of view, I don't see multiple anti-hack billbots being put out there. So you get that one billbot out and away you go. You know, as someone who likes to use Perceptor and for yourself blades, you understand that concept. These bots take the billboard out, and these are just great hacking bots, and this is a great hacking offensive combiner. Just understand the order of operations. Like, don't be trying to hack when that core's there because that's just silly.
I think the main problem with him on attacks is health again. That's a big problem because there's been a few times where I've got him in place to use the hack, and because that hack ability takes so long, there's been a few times where it just hasn't come off, and it kind of
Yeah,
wastes his all because his 3-star abilities are okay but not great. You rely on that 4-star because it is so OP, and so if you do get him in place and it's been a kill box and you start his 4-star ability off, it doesn't come off. It's kind of a
yeah,
waste of a combiner, and that for me is why I struggle a bit to use him on offense. Again, like most of the bots in here that we're talking about, he needs a bit of a HP boost, which I'm hoping the 5-star would give him, and I think I'd use
for
it a lot
sure.
more. So, just good, godly. I mean, personally, I think good. I wouldn't classify him as godly yet. As a 5-star, I think he might push into that section.
But potentially, if there's a like an added ability, right? Like it's who knows what it can be.
Yeah, and then on to the first ever 5-star combiners in the game, Omega and Overlord. So obviously, I don't think we need to hype these guys up. Everyone sort of knows how good they are in the game and how relevant, and even the apes know that from like we said about testing, how they wanted us to test without using these bots because of that OP. So do they go into Godly straight up?
I don't think there's any other category for Omega. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
But here's a question. Here's a question that I got for you because it's something that happened the other day, and it's more of a if you're a new player, right, who never got the opportunity to uh, get the 5-star Omega piece, right? They've said multiple times they're not rerunning the event, which I thought was probably not great, right? I mean,
yeah.
I realize there's a cost involved, but if they're always trying to encourage new players to join, right, they're a bit of a disadvantage that straight up the only way to get it is through a fixed cost. They never had a chance to pay their $70 or whatever it was to, get 75,000 points. There was a player that said, he reached 5,000 shards for the first time. do you kick on and save at the start for a five star Omega piece, or do you get your first 5-star bot? I mean, my recommendation was, I think you just save for Omega straight out the gate. You know, I realize it's a hard concept to understand for a new player, but like, whatever. But it's a one-time get. You know, you're gonna roll over multiple 5-star bots per year. You can pick up a bad 5-star bot out the gate. We know that. You could get a good one, but there's always a chance of a bad one. Once you get a mega, it's not a bad pull. It's just straight up good, one time buy. So do you save up for a mega straight away?
It's a good question. I'm not too sure. But again, that all depends on if 5-star bots are coming. Because if 5-star bots are coming, and that is some kind of piece or something. If I had a choice right now between a 5-star Omega and possibly a 5-star Computron, but then again, it's getting all the bots as well. So
Yeah.
it's plus and cons to both. I understand the argument, but then how good is a 5-star Omega if you don't have a team of 5-star bots? Also, you're sacrificing. Is it 5-star pulls for Omega? Is it 3? 15,000,
Uh,
25,000?
no, it's only three. It's only
3.
three.
Sacrificing 3 5-star pulls for Omega.
Mm.
It's a lot. It's a lot of shards for a new
It
player,
is.
maybe.
It is. I mean, if if you're gonna buy, I mean, you obviously can buy bundles to the cow comes home and whatever. But I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting concept of like, if you're new, are you chasing 5-star shards to hoard straight away, or
Mm.
yeah, just a food for thought.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Right now, maybe, but who knows? Who knows when these 5-star combiners come out? And then onto the most recent release. So Magnaboss and Tripredacus. So when these guys come in testing, I was quite impressed with them. And then I leveled mine up and started to use it in war and was really impressed. And I'd go as far as saying this is the closest we've come to Omega and probably the most powerful 4-star combiner in the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Mine's still upgrading. Um, I was lacking Beast Wars Prow for forever still, so mine's only 14, or no, probably 13 even, and in the lab for 14. But many great people in my team are just loving this guy as an all-round, all-mode combiner. Like, there's nothing he can't do like well. Um, Probably not super great from a defense point of view, but that's more of a placement, timing, luck. Because if the 4-star stays active, um, you can do a lot of healing on your defense. But that's a set. It's a tricky slope, that defense, as we know. But from from an attacking point of view, in the wars, the raids, the anything else, yeah, lots of good talk about this guy. And for only 3 bots, kind of laughing as well, right? Like, it's probably can't get any easier than a 3-star combiner.
Well, that's a big point as well. That if you talk about new players earlier, and do you save for the 5-star shards? If I was saying to a new player which combiner to go for right away, I would say him over Mega maybe, because you only need 3 bots, which are a lot easier
Yeah.
to get than 5. It's less costly than Omega is, so you can get them bots and get this combiner, and I don't think you're losing that much. Yes, Omega is ridiculously more powerful, but as a 4-star combiner, I think this guy is the one. I really do. For especially for new players
Yeah.
with 3 bots only. It's a lot of
Mm.
pulling power.
It's about timing the 4-star. How effective it is on attack. Yeah, it can benefit you both from destroying stuff, and then your team walking into that swarm, getting healed. You know, it's we talk. I talk about having combiners that give you anything post death effect as the benchmark of the meta HQ 17.5. Always getting something extra, and that's what kind of leaves behind the other combiners who are 4-star. So we never know when a 5-star combiner may arrive or what they may do. Like, is it requiring each bot to be obtained? Um, will there be a post effect on all of them? I think you've got to set the standard at either Omega or, you know, looking at a combination of Defensor and say Magnaboss and making the 5-star along that. Like, if they want to keep Omega as this special bot, but there's this little, just below Omega in a 5-star category, I think you would have a lot of happy players. So yeah, but to be only needing 3 bots for a combiner, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Even if you're chasing in bundles, it's so cheap, right?
yeah.
And yeah, there's nothing bad to be said about Magnaboss at all.
Yeah, I agree. And I love the fact that that 4-star ability you spoke about is that you can use it multiple ways. So you can either use it post death, so use that 4-star ability kind of at the end of the ability to give you a bot boost, or you can the 4-star ability actually heals himself as well. So you can
Mm.
put it in an area, then you can work him up to that area, use his invincibility so his health stops, and his health actually increases then, only slightly, granted, but it gives him that extra boost again. So I love the fact that you can use it, strategically to help your combiner out, or you can use it strategically to help your bots out. I just honestly I can't speak highly enough of this guy at all. I absolutely love him. But is he that strong to going godly though, or still just good though?
I think in terms of, star rating, how many abilities he does have, he just misses the godly section. But you said if we halve that good into high end and low end of good, he's the high end, right? He
Yeah,
he sits he sits up there. Now, the other little golden egg or trivia I like about this guy is that essentially the 3 bots abilities, like, so when the elephant, the cheetah, and the cicada, is that it's exactly what the combiner abilities are. Like, that synergy
yeah,
of using exactly what the bots combined as abilities,
yeah,
and I think that's great. It's a
yeah.
great little, I don't know, aspect about this combiner that, you know, if you look at other combiners, you're like, "Mm, yeah, the other ones, individual bots, just, it's like their abilities aren't used, right? Like, I know you're a big Streetwise lover, so it's like, imagine the 5-star Defensor somehow incorporates his 5-star ability as some sort of slowdown effect on the base,
Yeah.
right? It casts, a slowdown grenade, which then allows him to rush into an area and last longer, right?
Mhm.
That type of synergy is what I think is needed in a thought process when potentially making these 5-star combiners. Use use the bots uh, SA, or look into their SA, and try to see how we can make a ability from it and connect the bot a bit better. I think that would be great for the game.
No, I agree. I think it's hard if combiners that have 5 bots, obviously going to get 3 abilities. But I just think that Magnaboss is just really well thought out. I think they thought that out from the concept. I thought the idea was that they have 3 abilities. Maybe even they might have done the combiner first and worked backwards, maybe. So I've done the combiner, these are 3 abilities, we'll split them out between the bots because it just works so well. And again, like you said, there's nothing bad to be said about them, really. I just think that in every aspect, for the fact it takes 3 bots, the fact that the abilities work in tandem and filter into the combiner, the fact that he is powerful, the fact he has pulse death. I think even an outpost is probably his only downfall, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I'd put him above Computron and Defensor without a doubt. But maybe not like godless section, but as a 5-star, who's to know?
Yeah, who knows? We'll find out
Yeah.
shortly. No, I don't know. I have no idea. They keep saying it's we're not looking at it. Next minute, next update. Oh, hey, 5-star combiners are coming.
Yeah.
That's how it rolls around these parts of the world.
Yeah, they did say at one point where 5-star bots weren't coming either, but hey.
I so remember that. I was like, you're right.
Well, that is all the combiners rated for 2022. We may visit these again once they're all 5 stars. Once, not if, because I think they're still coming regardless of what they say.
Yeah, same.
But it would be good to rate them again, maybe as 5 stars later in the year. But for now, this is every combiner rated for 2022. So as always, let us know in the comments, guys. Do you agree? And let us know how you use these combiners differently to maybe how we've talked about in the recording. But yeah, as always, big thanks to Tex for joining me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Nah, it's always fun coming on here and doing these things with you guys.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out all the videos out, guys, of all the bots rated in the game. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to always see any future content. All right, thanks for watching, guys, as always, and peace out.